I'm Steve Lascalzo, and this is The Way. Welcome to the recap and discussion podcast episode for Season 2, Episode 5 of Andor, a Star Wars Story, now streaming on Disney+. I Have Friends Everywhere continues the story arc for BBY3 in the years between the first season of Andor, set 5 years before the Battle of Yavin, and the movie Rogue One. This podcast you've chose to listen to today focuses on Season 2, Episode 5, but could contain information about Star Wars from anything that has already been released, including Episode 6, which is not being discussed today. There's our First Impressions podcast that reviews the story arc in general already out. So, if you've listened to all of our episodes, including that, you should be okay to listen here.
On program. That means hands on head, eyes front, feet on the floor. Do it!
Tony Gilroy, scriptwriter and Hollywood script fixer, is the showrunner and creator of Andor. The writer delegated to handle this story arc, BBY3, is Beau Willimon, House of Cards creator, executive producer on Severance on Apple TV+. I'm not a fan of his work this week, I'll just say that. The director is still Ariel Kleiman, and he's in the chair for all 6 episodes released as of April 29th in Season 2, but Janusz Metz will take over next week and handle Dan Gilroy's BBY2 story arc, episodes 7, 8, and 9. There was a lot of crew overlap on episodes 1, 2, and 3 of Season 2, and likewise, a lot of overlap on Season 2, episodes 4, 5, and 6. That's what happens when you make them all together, right? That means I'm going to skip credits for the same names and only mention new names or changes to the crew. Like, the director of photography is the same. Production design. Casting directors. Visual effects supervisor. Costume design. Hair and makeup. Special creature effects. All the same for episode 5 as they were for episodes 1 through 4, actually. So if you'd like to hear more about them, go back, listen to recap and discussion episodes for the Season 2 premiere, because that's where I'll talk more about their resumes. The weekly change seems to be in who is editing. For episode 5, the editor is once again credited to John Gilroy, Tony's brother, and he edited episode 1 of Season 2, took episode 2 off, came back for episode 3, took episode 4 off, and is back once again for episode 5. Now, I'm not going to run down his resume again, but any chance I get to play a classic clip from the movie Billy Madison that he edited back in 1995, I'm going to take it. Today, Junior.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
I do want to add a credit that I have just ignored or forgotten to include, and I just want to do that so that going forward we do give some recognition to the stunt team. Mark Maley has been the stunt coordinator, and I know he's got a lot of help. There's a lot of people involved working in stunts, but he gets a screen to himself during the credits. So he worked as a stunt double for Daniel Radcliffe on Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. He was an assistant coordinator on Rise of Skywalker. He's coordinated for The Agency, Black Mirror, and he is listed on IMDb for all 24 episodes of Andor, Seasons 1 and 2, even the ones that have not been released yet. Now to the music. In this one, once again, it's credited to Nick Britell, not Brandon Roberts. Brandon gets a credit for additional music. Britell composed everything in Season 1, but due to conflicts had to give up some of the work to Roberts in Season 2. So while he's not in charge for some episodes, he will still get credited for original Andor themes. But here, he is credited with the scoring. Disney Plus posts a runtime for the episodes in parentheses, but it's not entirely accurate unless you sit through all the previously on clips, the Lucasfilm Limited and Star Wars helmet sequence, the original theme, the show, and then not just the credits, but credits for each and every language release. I don't know anyone who does that unless they're asleep. The runtime for episode 5 is not 57 minutes like they say. The original theme music starts around 2 minutes and 20 seconds after the Disney Plus snap. Then it runs for 46 minutes, 43 seconds to the cut to black from Willimon staring into space. If you skip the original theme, well, you're skipping part of the episode this week, because part of that theme is actually Clea scrubbing through signals from listening devices. You can do that. You'd save yourself about a half a minute, 46 minutes and 8 seconds total, if you get right to Clea on the screen. The thumbnail description available on the show's Disney Plus Episodes tab reads the same as the description on the show's episode page in Disney Plus. That reads, Cassian on Ghorman, Cyril on Coruscant, Bix failing, Willimon trapped, Clea has a serious problem.
You think anybody's listening?
Main build cast is mentioned every episode recap and discussion. That's what I do. But by now, it's just going to be a mention. Now, if you want to hear more about the resumes of the people playing the roles here, you're going to have to listen to previous recaps for their first appearance. It just takes too long to go through it all the time. I'm also going to start forgoing mentioning whether this is a show-only role or if it's a part that they're reprising from Rogue One. Except, I will tell you, obviously, Diego Luna as Cassian Andor, he's the title character of the show, and he's a big part of that Rogue One movie. Stellan Skarsgård is Luthen Rael. Denise Goff is Dedra Meero. Kyle Soller is Cyril Karn. Adria Arjona is Cassian's love interest, Bix Kayleen. Elizabeth Dulau appears as Clea Markey, and, man, I heart Clea. Elizabeth is no slouch either. Catherine Hunter is Cyril's mom, Edie Karn. Muhammad Bayer is Wilmon Pak. Anton Lesser plays Major Partagaz of the Imperial Security Bureau. Richard Delane is Davo Skulden, father-in-law to Mon Mothma's daughter Leda. Richard Samel is Caro Rylands. He's the white-haired leader of the Ghorman Front. And Forrest Whitaker is Saw Gerrera. I think everyone wondered how Saw got his breathing apparatus from Rogue One. I'm disappointed to learn in this story arc that that's Rhydonium inhalation, and that it's on purpose.
What's more dangerous than Rhydonium? How many old pipe poachers out there? How many who live to tell the tale?
Now to cast listings, in all black, in the order of appearance section. Not starring roles, but in order of appearance roles. And a reminder, a cast member showing up here for the first time in Season 2 is going to get more than just a mention. But anyone who we've already heard about, they're going to get skipped. And yeah, it means you'd have to give those earlier episodes another listen. But that is not a bad thing for me.
Nobody here gives their real name.
The first new character to Season 2 is new to the series as well. Mishko is played by Mia Soterio. I believe this is the art dealer that Davo complains to that is overheard by Clea. She was Miri Maz-Dur in Season 1 of Game of Thrones. That's the witch that burns in Khal Drogo's funeral pyre along with Khaleesi, and she helps bring dragons back to Westeros with that blood magic. Believe it or not, I did not see any doctors or casualty on her resume, but she was in EastEnders, and she was also in the Mamma Mia movie as Arena. Nikki is Pui Fan Lee. I think she's one of the ones that are running the shop, or the woman that comes out to greet Cassian when he goes for his undercover identity. What a career. She was in Rain Man, Basic Instinct, Pulp Fiction, Legends of the Fall, Seven, Emma, For the Love of the Game, The Prestige, Ocean's 13, Slow Horses, Bad Sisters, and The Nevers. Oh. And she was Poe in 228 episodes of Teletubbies, plus movies. So she joins Robin Berry, who played Tinky Winky for 10 seasons, or 10 episodes of Ready, Steady, Go, rather, in 2021. And then Nick Kellington, who played Dipsy in over 120 episodes from 2015 to 2018. So they're all in Andor. Can you believe that? What is that connection there? Is this Gold and Ware who are hiring people, they feel bad for them, or do they have some connection to Teletubbies? What is that?
Poe! Poe! Uh-oh, Poe!
Bon is Elliot Rennie. And I think that is Nikki's partner, the big guy that comes from the back of the shop. His only other role seems to have been in a short called Starman. So he's getting a big boost here with this job on Andor. Grimish is Kurt Egyawan, and I believe that's the ISB tech investigator that comes to Cyril's office. He plays Grand Maester Orwell in House of the Dragon. He's got roles in The Agency, the Exorcist TV series, the movie Skyfall, and the Apple TV Plus series Slow Horses. Hotel clerk is Matilda Keene. It appears to be her first credited role. Congratulations. Thala is Stefan Crepon. I think he's the bellhop. French TV and movie roles for him. Mafi and Toffee, both played by the same person, Ruby Wax. These are the two that are on the Coruscanti morning show. Wax's first IMDb listing is for a TV episode way back in 1979. She was Bunty in Chariots of Fire. She's got British TV experience, though no listings for Doctors or for Casualty. Before we get down to business, I still don't have a clue about father and son that are listed in the credits for episodes 1 through 3, or BOS number 1 and BOS number 2 for episodes 4 and 5. All right, let's get moving, shall we, Obi-Wan?
He can go about his business.
You can go about your business.
Move along.
Move along. Move along.
The episode starts during the unique Andor theme music, because we hear signal scrubbing. I think we can figure out it's Clea at Luthen's shop on Coruscant. We hear Ryloth mentioned more than once as a frequency. Corellia is another one. Then she gets to Skolden, and apparently either Luthen or Clea has placed a bug in one of his art pieces. I think it's probably Clea, right? Since Luthen interrupts her during this scrubbing, it would seem as if this was her call. Is Luthen, though, involved with Clea? I mean, it looks like he's waking up. And she's there early. I don't know if there's something between them, but he asks, is our friend on the way? He doesn't say his name. It's either out of abundance of caution, or maybe he actually thinks the shop is unsecure, and maybe he thinks there's a bug. It just has to be habit, though, right? Cassian had left the safe house at the end of episode 4 on mission. Bix was taking a sleep aid, if you remember. Cassian's making his way to a lower level shop on Coruscant. The shop owners are busy in the back, let's say, when he gets there. It seems to be like a travel shop, but it's selling identities. He's getting a vettable identity to use on Ghorman. His dossier is being fed to him via audio, so like Cyril in episode 4, we get to see him walk and move while we get the information dump, the exposition of this spy identity.
Your name is Varian Skye. You were born in Tahini and moved to Coruscant with your brother when you were 12.
On Ghorman, Cyril is talking with his mother on a call and doing what he's been doing. He knows he's being listened to, so he's laying it on thick for the Ghorman front. And they are listening. When an ISB technical group comes in to sweep his office for listening devices, he's irate. The overreach is, of course, on purpose, and we see that someone close to his office is the mole. She signals for the listeners to shut things down for the sweep when they come in. Cyril keeps playing the game, and he's doing a great job at it.
On whose authority? This is my office.
Are you refusing a direct Imperial order?
This is insane.
Take him.
Are you...
Everybody out.
Calling headquarters!
Good luck with that.
Go back to Coruscant, where Clea goes back for a listen to the conversation that the bug picked up in Skolden's art gallery. She starts back at the beginning, so we hear that there's a forgery in his collection, and he wants a sweep of all of his items, including the one where the bug is hidden. They simply cannot risk this being found. Clea's countenance is usually cool, calm, collected. She looks a lot more panicked now. But customers arrive, so she puts her panic on hold.
I want everything vetted once and for all.
Everything?
Everything!
We have the exhibition.
All of it! I want it inspected and recertified.
Everything!
Cashin is still on his way to Ghorman. We don't get to see the flight. We just see him moving all the time. And he's still listening to those details of his identity. And he's played parts before, but here he's going to be fully immersed in this new role as a fashion designer. The Audible dossier tells him this trip is a rite of passage. It gives him his Coruscanti address in East Narcine, level 4888. I have no idea what that means. I've got no context for that. I did a little research. It just appears to be a cool little detail. Meanwhile, Syril is inhabiting the persona of a disgruntled government worker, and he's portraying openly to the workers that are under his supervision his displeasure with what is going on. He's doing a really good job of it. He lets them know the ISB techs did find a bug in his office.
You will all now have the pleasure of thorough ISB interview. And there will be new security measures going forward. Because, of course, we're bugging our own office!
This little act may have been the drop that breached the dam for the front. They're walking into this ISB trap, not because it's easy, but because it's just hard enough to make them think that they're the ones that are overcoming these obstacles. They obtain a file on Cyril's Morlana 1 police work. It was sealed. How'd they find it? Well, Caro, his daughter Enza, and Dylan are reviewing it. And then they decide, hey, let's move forward. Let's reach out to this guy for help. They do it all in this French-sounding Gore language that comes with subtitles.
Slupit dan e Saba.
Slupit dan e Saba e Gigombel Krakonaz.
Zeb, Zeb. Dalam spila verjoblo. Klika.
The front makes contact that very evening. Caro is careful. He doesn't come right out and complain about the Empire. No.
Many of us believe the Emperor has no idea what's being done on his behalf. We think the ISB is running a shadow government.
To be honest, nothing would surprise me at this point. And believe me, you don't know the half of it.
He's not lying. They don't know the full extent of this operation. They don't know Syril is involved. They are being led to slaughter in order to plunder this mineral they might not even realize they have, that Ghorman calcite we heard about in the Krennic-led meeting at the Berghoff-Berchtesgaden, the Malthine Divide. Caro wants manifests so they can prove there is an armory and a military building being built in the capital, not just office buildings. But who is he trying to prove to? It's a small step. You know, they're taking a little leap of faith here. They'd all still be jailed or killed if Syril turned them in. Syril and Dedra aren't going to do that, of course, because they're working them. They want them to make the wrong move reliably. To do that, Syril is going to have to feed them information. Last season, it was Luthen feeding Anton Krieger to the ISB to cut up a loose end. This time, the ISB is trying to open a loose end by feeding the Ghorman front to the public to start a massacre.
Not every transport has a bill of lading.
Those are the ones we'd be interested in.
On Coruscant, Luthen pays Bix a visit. It doesn't take a master spy to see how bad a shape Bix is in. Now, I couldn't figure out in this scene, was he going to kill her right there? On the first watch, I couldn't recall if she appeared in any trailer scenes that we had yet to see, so I thought maybe he's just going to end her here. It felt like he was sizing up the risk and a solution at the same time, but Luthen does come across as caring.
Never ends, does it? All the hiding.
It will. We'll bring them down or die trying. What else is there?
I'm not as strong as you.
That's just tonight talking. Us being stuck here in this box.
He says, we'll try to find somewhere else to use you. I don't think he puts Bix in the same sentence as an operative like Clea, but he does seem to care for some reason. Maybe it's because of how much Bix means to Andor. That's got to be the only reason he doesn't just kill her. Finding drugs on one of your agents. Maybe he's even got experience with using this drug. She realizes, you were going to offer me a job and then you changed your mind. It was weapons appraisal. He knows she's not in the right frame of mind on this substance. He's got to know how dangerous it is to put a substance abuser into the field.
I use it for sleep.
It works for a while. But the dreams come back worse when you stop. Be careful.
He does sound like a man who has personal experience with this. Experience is what Saw Gerrera needs for Pluti, but lessons from Willimon on Dakar aren't going well.
That's a lot to take in.
It doesn't seem to bother you. 8 variations, Saw things. There's 8 things I have to remember. He doesn't realize all the primes, all the sifting factors, the tools. How did you ever learn this? Who taught you?
Who taught him? Probably his dad. I mean, I imagine that would be a reason not to answer above and beyond just keeping that information secret for safety's sake. Willimon doesn't suspect anything from Pluti other than frustration, but is there more to it?
What time's your flight?
I'll make it. Just backing up all our transport schedules. I'd hate to think what would happen if those ISP idiots hit the wrong button.
Cyril is getting ready to head to Coruscant. No one in the office suspects that he's a double agent. He's pretending to still hate the ISB. He's bringing a copy of information to the front on his way out of town or off planet. He takes a copy, slips it into his pocket, makes his way to the square. Sam is waiting with his spiders, and he's got another one for Cyril, but it's what Cyril has that he wants.
We're fine, nobody's watching. Oh, man of taste. Best spider on the plaza. Come back safe.
Thank you.
No one's watching? How would that kid know that? Clea would never agree to work with such amateurs if she only knew. But she's got a much longer game to play. She's working Skulden's art buyer in Luthen's shop. She wants to try and get to the collection, so she offers up, hey, want a free piece of art? But Michiko says no. She knows the entire art collection is going to go out for appraisal the day after the next event. So now there's a ticking clock. Clea's idea to get into the room is not going to work. She's going to have to remove the listening device before the party is over. Back on Ghorman, the front has downloaded the manifest Cyril provided, and once again, they feel like they're the ones digging and finding treasure. The ISB and Cyril are the ones filling that dig site. But this is not a fake. It's good intel, right? And, Krieger, he was a rebel. That was all good intel Luthen had Lonnie feed the ISB last season. It's the same thing, though. They're following the path that's laid out for them. Here, it's leading toward a trap. Meanwhile, Cassian arrives on Ghorman.
Checking in?
Varian Skye.
He learns, while checking into his room, about the original Ghorman Massacre. It's a legend story about Grand Moff Tarkin landing a ship in the square, killing hundreds of protesters. The bellhop was there. He was only 12 when it happened.
I'm just a designer. I'm curious. Been hearing about Ghorman my whole life.
I do think this is a great way to honor Legends material and still make it work with what we know is coming. It was shown in Rebels that there was a Ghorman Massacre. We didn't see it happen, but we know of that tragedy on Ghorman, and this one has yet to happen.
It was Moff Tarkin. People wouldn't clear and he wanted to land. And more of us kept coming. We thought there was safety in numbers. Who would land a cruise on a crowd full of unarmed citizens?
The other one already happened. It came in the past. One's coming, though. Cassian has arrived. He's settling in. So has Cyril, but he's on Coruscant. He's on his way to meet Dedra. And they've only got an hour?
Just careful all the way.
I know. I had you followed. Party has insisted.
How long can I stay?
An hour.
Are you kidding? Do you think they're really watching Edie's apartment?
No, but we've put too much in now to have it go wrong for something so small.
Okay, I really, really disliked the way Beau Willimon wrote this scene. If this scene plays out as it's written. It could be his fault. Maybe it's director Errol Kleiman's fault. There's no love here between Cyril and Dedra. Now, I'm not mad with the dialogue that sets up the hour time they have, or even the acting, really. It's just, turn out the lights. I want it more subtle. Just say we have an hour and then have the lights go out. We would figure that out. I don't understand why they have to make it so uncomfortable. And it is uncomfortable for Star Wars. I want my show to be exciting. I don't mind a more adult theme, but you don't need to hit us over the head with it.
Now we're...
Turn out the lights.
Can't believe you had me followed.
Turn out the lights.
Turn out the lights. In the next scene, it's nighttime on Ghorman, and one of the front, Enza, approaches Cashin in a coffee shop on the plaza. She gets a dressing down from Cashin. The front are a bunch of amateurs. He can spot their tactics a mile away, which means so can the ISB. And though the front doesn't realize it, the only reason the ISB hasn't already pounced on them is because they're being set up. And that is what success does. It breeds overconfidence.
Maybe I'm ISB. Maybe you just put everyone you care about into a cell.
A meeting is set. We see Cyril has returned home to stay with his mother. He's got his cereal and blue milk, and she gets her creepy model spider that she jokingly calls Cyril. She is genuinely happy to have her son back, which is nice, but she's also more interested in believing that she has control over him than his actual well-being.
Welcome back to Good Morning Coruscant.
It's that time of the year, Toffee. Senate investiture. I absolutely adore this holiday. I know you want to talk about the politics of it all. I do. I want to talk parties.
Back to check in with Bix, and I did not like this Coruscant TV show stuff. I mean, it's not just that it was so flippant. I mean, it was, and I didn't like that, but I just don't think what was chosen works. It would have been enough to show Bix on the bedroll with the gun, and then just have silence or atmospherics or Bertel's score. It's a quick scene, though, and maybe that's merciful. We go back to Ghorman, where Cashin is having his meeting. Like he did with Caro's daughter, Cashin dresses down Caro, at least a little bit, in his shop. Caro is so proud of this source that he thinks he has developed. Now, to be fair to the character, we know that he's wrong and Cashin's right, and the fault isn't that he developed the source. It's just when the possibility is raised, like, could this be misinformation? He doesn't have any way to verify. He doesn't have a second source. Cashin isn't even the most careful that he can be, but he sees how flippant and how naive they are. He's not comfortable. This is the least careful they should be, and they're not at all.
We have a source inside. An imperial source, I'll not say. Feeding false information is what they do. You're aware of that.
Cashin wants a tour of the city, but he's already got his doubts. On Coruscant, Cyril and Dedra are trying to eliminate any doubts held by Major Partagaz. They're having this private meeting in the large conference room, or at least we're led to believe that it's a private meeting. It's just going to play out just as Dedra mentioned to Krennic a year ago. You know, let him get bolder. Give him this taste of success. It sounds like this is going to work.
When it's over, we need to calibrate retribution carefully. We want them growing bolder. They need to see what winning feels like.
I'll make sure things don't get out of hand. Excellent work, Cyril.
Thank you, sir.
What? Cyril can hardly contain his excitement. That even slightly bothers Dedra, but she knows that she will end up getting the glory here.
If I say this is the greatest day of my life, does it spoil everything?
It's good to see you happy.
On Dakar, we get the scene that's supposed to hint to us that Saw suspects something is up with Pluti. This guy is trying to save someone innocent. How dare he?
So we can lose the boy. He's seen too much. If you're ready, then I'll get rid of him.
He's a good engineer. A great one, maybe.
But we have you.
What about the people who sent him?
Accidents happen.
The rest of Saw's crew does strike me more cutthroat. Maybe, just maybe, Pluti isn't an Imperial spy, but he does have a weakness, even if it's just lack of confidence, and I don't think there's hard evidence he's a spy. I don't believe everything I see. But he's certainly not cut out for this business.
What have you heard? I need some good news.
At Luthen's shop, he gets the bad news from Clea that their bug may be found. They don't talk plan here, but they're going to have to think of something. And speaking of planning, Cassian hears how the Ghorman Front plans on pulling off the heist. He knows how to do one. Since Aldhani, he's probably pulled off a few.
2 years of bits and pieces.
You agreed to it.
I'll let you talk me into it.
You're becoming insufferable.
I can't keep track anymore.
Back to Luthen and Clea, and they're quarreling about the stress of it all, really. They've got their ears to too many bugs. Kind of like the ISB was arresting too many people, like Lonnie said.
All this lines we've laid, all this information, the radios, the frequencies, the messages flying around. We're drowning. And you keep pretending it's all under control.
Are you done?
Yeah, man. Are you done? Quit yelling at Clea. As usual, she's the glue that's holding all this together. All I need to see in the rest of the show is, can she fly an X-Wing? You know, if she's a pilot, she's top 10 favorite Star Wars characters. On Dakar, Saw is ready to FN 2199 Pluti.
I've done what I can. I've done everything you've asked for. And if I don't show up back home...
Traitor!
He shoots him. Poor Pluti. Is he a traitor? I mean, Two Tubes fishes something out of his breast pocket, but how do we know what that is? And how do we know Two Tubes didn't actually find it in the palm of his own hand? It doesn't matter. Saw believes it to be true, and he made his choice. So to him, it's an upgrade to Willimon the Boy. Whether he wants the job or not, Will just got hired to poach a pipe.
He's been transmitting to the Empire. There's an ambush waiting for us at the Marquez Moon pipeline. But we will be many parsecs away, drinking our Rhydo in peace.
Drinking Rhydo? Drinking fuel? Oh, no. It's worse. Before Cassian leaves for Coruscant, he and Caro have a final meeting over coffee, or CAF, as it's called in Star Wars. Caro wants to know, what's it going to take to get Cassian into this brand new revolution? Andor, he's having second thoughts about the warranty and dealer fees. The Ghorman Front is set for failure. They're buying a lemon. Cassian Andor feels it in his bones.
Not much of a revolutionary, are you? Perhaps not. Good day to you.
To heck with this guy, Carol. I mean, he's living in the lap of luxury. They're not complete pushovers, but Cassian knows a lost cause when he sees it.
And tell your friend, I'm not impressed.
Seriously, this guy. Ugh. Many parsecs away, Rhydonium theft is in progress. Will is working on the valve and having to listen to Saw monologue. And at first, I thought Saw was talking to this whole group, right? No, he's just talking to Willimon while he's trying to concentrate.
I was a prisoner. Him in a work camp in the jungle. No droids, no beasts, just men. And cargo. Onderon jungle. Real jungle. Hot, wet, blistering jungle.
We get the story about Saw's past, or a story. I don't think we ever saw that in the Clone Wars or any other media. Will then finally opens the valve, and then Saw goes huffing.
I have always loved you.
What are you doing?
There it is.
How can you do that?
Because I understand it. Because she's my sister, Rhydo, and she loves me. That itch, that burn. You feel how badly she wants to explode?
Ridiculous. Add this to the issues I have with substance abuse portrayal in Star Wars in this show. I don't want to pretend that I know everything about PTSD, but look, Saw's sister's death alone was not enough to do this. Unfortunately for Gilroy and the other writers on this show, there's been too much of Saw used elsewhere to compare, including late seasons of Rebels. Yeah, he admits he's crazy, but he's bringing Willimon into his delusion. And unlike what we saw with Bix, we don't have examples of Will having trouble adjusting after his dad's death. Heck, the first 3 episodes, he was hitting on that water girl. He seemed like he was adjusted. There's no way you can write it this way. I mean, they can, and they did, obviously, but that means it's not good writing.
You think I'm crazy? Yes, I am. Revolution is not for the sane. Look at us. Unloved, hunted, cannon fodder. That's freedom calling. Let it in. Let it run. Let it run wild.
This is where I end our episode 5 recap and discussion. I don't want to focus on all the negatives as I see them, so we'll stop now. One more episode in the second block to go. I'm pretty sure you've already seen that if you're listening here. The next episode of Andor's second season is available already. The description for What a Festive Evening reads, Vel and Cinta to Ghorman, cashing home to Bix, an argument, a heist, a party, everything at risk. I think that's a good description, and if you've seen the episode, you might agree. You can send feedbacks or comments, and I'll continue to cover this show, even if I fall behind and the next block comes out before I'm finished with this one. In the meantime, join in the discussion with me by sending in your thoughts via email at thisisthewaypodcast@gmail.com.
This is the message I was sent.
Some listeners have indeed made contact already, and we're seeing so few of these contacts that I can mention all of them. I hope someday I just can't fit them all in, but I'm not there yet. First, Warrior Girl left some comments for us on YouTube. She thanked me for sharing, but honestly, thank you for listening and promoting the liking and sharing of this podcast. She says she enjoyed The Acolyte and Skeleton Crew, and she expressed concern for my dad. Thank you very much. He was still in the hospital as of the weekend, and he's now home waiting for a couple of procedures over the next month or 2, and I'm hopeful things will improve. Warrior Girl also talked about watching the original movies in the theaters and the family tradition she has of watching all of the movies together. I wish I could get my girls to enjoy them, but my wife tolerates my fanaticism, which is enough for now, and you may have heard our May the 4th podcast that I interview her and talk about that. Warrior Girl has sons in their 30s who have read Legends novels. She enjoyed the twins theme that they used for Leia and Han's kids because she has a history of that. I do think it would have been cool to keep that going. You know, Anakin and Padme had the most famous fraternal twins, I think, at least in Star Wars. All right, thank you, Warrior Girl 113, for the support. On that same YouTube podcast was a first-time listener, Luke Samislav Barisic, who says, I really enjoyed these 3 episodes. Now, I feel bad because each of my commenters liked things that I didn't like, but they still wrote in to share, which, honestly, that's wonderful. So last week, they were disappointed while they said it was good. They expected more. Andor is their favorite series or film in general, and they're hyped for next week. I didn't see the same consensus that last week was better, but I felt that way only because I was not a big fan of the choices made this week by the writer, Beau Willimon. This is Luke Samislav Barisic's first time listening to our podcast, but they promised to be back, so that's great. Like Warrior Girl, Luke shares concerns for the health of my father, which again, thank you so much. It's wonderful, very much appreciated. I'm so happy to have something to share here in this spot this week. It really has lifted my spirits. I hope my own opinions aren't upsetting or challenging. Yeah, I am doing this podcast for myself, but not just myself. I've long hoped to find people who think about Star Wars like I do. And rather than listen to thousands and thousands of different podcasts until I find the right one, I figured, hey, I'm going to use my college education to create my own. Thank you for joining me today for the 5th episode of Season 2 of Andor called I Have Friends Everywhere. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and hey, listen to Warrior Girl 113. Like this video, and tell people about This Is The Way podcast. I'm your host, Steve Lascalzo, and this is the way. May the Force be with you, always.